Welcome to the Fountain Studio celebration, and happy Darwin's 213th birthday. Why Evolution Sunday? Well, if you haven't noticed, our national dialogue has become more and more bogged down in fake news, crazy conspiracy theories, and the discrediting of scientific objectivity. So, for people of faith, it's all the more important to declare one's commitment to rational thought and evidence-based reality. Also, Evolution Sunday helps spread the word that the United Methodist denomination officially endorses evolution, especially to the growing number of young people who have stopped attending church because they consider Christianity to be anti-science. The United Methodist Book of Discipline not only states that science's descriptions of cosmological, geological, and biological evolution are not in conflict with theology, but also encourages United Methodists to actively work to oppose faith-based theories such as creationism or intelligent design in public school science curriculums. Every day, new scientific discoveries are creating amazing opportunities to learn and grow and make the world a better place. By the end of May, we'll start getting the first images of deep, deep space from the new James Webb Space Telescope and learn even more about the origins of the universe. So, Evolution Sunday is a day to both celebrate science and affirm the work of the Spirit in the continuing process of evolution. Happy Darwin's birthday. We're glad you're here.
Let's join together as we get in the Spirit. We gather in awe of the mystery out of which creation has come.
A mystery that can neither be fully contained or described.
We gather in awe of the mystery through which humanity was birthed.
Bringing us into being in all our rich diversity, yet leaving us unfinished.
We gather in awe of the mystery that inhabits every second,
but remains unbound by time.
We gather in awe of the wisdom revealed in the works of human knowing,
and in the depths of a creation still unknown to us.
We gather mindful of the spirit of life that inspires us to seek, to find,
and participate in the joy of creation.
All the ends of the earth, all you creatures of the sea, lift up your eyes to the wonders of the Lord, for the Lord of the earth, the Master of the sea, has come with justice for the world. Break into song at the deeds of the Lord, the wonders He has done in every age. All the ends of the earth, all you creatures of the sea, lift up your eyes to the wonders of the Lord, for the Lord of the earth, the Master of the sea, has come with justice for the world. Heaven and earth shall rejoice in His might. Every heart, every nation call Him Lord. All the ends of the earth, all you creatures of the sea, lift up your eyes to the wonders of the Lord, for the Lord of the earth, the Master of the sea,
Let's affirm the fountain's mission together as followers of Jesus.
We put love first.
As we breathe deep and enter into this time of quiet and meditation, may we consider the miracle of our sentience, of our awareness, that we are aware. May we always be open to the unknown, the unanswered, the inexplicable. Rather than flee from mystery, may we embrace it, content to let pat explanations and claims to know all the answers, let them go. May we live with awe and gratitude at the continued miracle of our part in the ever-evolving wonder of life. And may our senses be awakened to the presence of the more, that spark of life beyond our understanding, here and now.
Where love and caring are, there is God. Where love and caring are, there is God. Where love and caring are, there is God. Where love and caring are, there is
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. We are descended from stardust, gathered of galaxies, created of carbon. From the first tremblings of a vibrant planet, we evolved and are evolving, open to the presence of the divine.
We carry the memory of cosmos, the evolution of our cousins, the encoding of our kin, and the adaptations of our cultures. From planet to people, our lives matter only as much as we mean to make it so.
From the planes of the ancestral and the plans of the ancestral, from the mystery of infinity comes the possibility that we are transformed and are transforming still.
This is our prayer.
We offer this time of quiet, bringing our whole selves in the name of the one who taught his first followers to pray the prayer we now sing together.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven, as it
SAWS Southwest is a nonprofit that builds wheelchair ramps for people in need. We transform the lives of those in need, and they transform our lives. When a family tells you that they no longer have their 17-year-old son carry their 43-year-old dad to the car because of the ramp that you built, you know you made a difference. When someone tells you they have not been able to get into their backyard for over a year and now they can, you know you've made a difference. Please join us. Tuesday mornings, we meet most mornings at about 9:15, work till 11:30 on campus, building ramps, trying to make a difference. If you're unable to assist us in that fashion, donations are always welcome on the website that's been listed, directing them to David James. Thank you.
Every day, the Fountain strives to put love first, both in person and online.
And if you're one of our many regular online viewers, we're grateful for your participation as a digital member.
Every week, you hear about all the many ways you can give electronically to support this online outreach, like using the QR code on the screen, going to give.weputlovefirst.org, or downloading the Vancomobile app. So when you are on our secure giving site, be sure to look for the line that says Studio Celebration Donation.
A contribution here lets us know that you're out there, that the studio is important to you, and that you want to be a part of supporting this growing digital outreach.
So whenever and wherever you're watching, we're glad you're joining us.
Thanks in advance for supporting the studio financially.
Tell me when, if not now. Tell me when. We may never see this moment or place and time again. If not now, if not now. Tell me when. I see sorrow and trouble in this land. I see sorrow and trouble in this land. Although there will be struggle, we'll make the change we can. If not now, if not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. We may never see this moment or place and time again. If not now, if not now, tell me when. I may never see the promised land. I may never see the promised land. And yet if we take the journey, we'll walk it hand in hand. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. We may brighter. It will take a change of heart for this to mend. It will take a change of heart for this to mend. But miracles do happen ever shining now and then. If not now, if not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. We may never see this moment or place and time again. Not now, not now, tell me when. And miracles do happen, ever shining now and then. Not now, not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. If not now, if not now, tell me when.
Praise God from whom all grace flows forth. Praise life, all creatures here on earth. Praise light who guides us on our way. Praise love who formed us day by day.
Our passage today is from the Psalms, and the Psalms is a collection of collections. Within this one book, there are 5 books written over many centuries, stretching from the days of Solomon's Temple, about 950 before the Common Era, to after the exile, about 350 before the Common Era. They were influenced by many surrounding cultures and span the spectrum of human emotions: praise, lament, thanks, wisdom, awe, and more. In this first part of Psalm 19, there's a musing about how, even before speech, creation's voice goes out through all the earth. It uses ancient mythic language that glories in the sun in a way that you might expect to hear in any ancient Near Eastern hymn to the sun god. God is now seen to set a tent for the sun as it makes its way across the sky. We revel in the sun and its light and heat as we revel in all the wonders of creation, suggesting that in the beauty and mystery of creation, we see something of the divine.
Our words of wisdom are from Psalms 19, verses 1 through 10. The heavens are telling the glory of God, and the firmament proclaims his handiwork. Day to day pours forth speech, and night to night declares knowledge. There is no speech, nor are there words. Their voice is not heard, yet their voice goes out through the earth, and their words to the end of the world.
In the heavens, God has set a tent for the sun, which comes out like a bridegroom from his wedding canopy, and like a strong man runs its course with joy. Its rising is from the end of the heavens, and its circuit to the end of them, and nothing is hid from its heat. Hear what the Spirit is saying to the church.
Thanks be to God.
Once upon a time, a little girl asked her mother, "Where do we come from?" Her mother answered, "We were created by God." The little girl looked puzzled. So the mother asks her, "What's the matter?" She said, "Well, Daddy said we came from monkeys." And her mom replies, "Oh, I was talking about my side of the family. Your daddy's side came from monkeys." Funny, sure, but even more than 150 years after Darwin published On the Origin of Species, people are still trying to make where we came from a wedge issue in everything from the education of our children to presidential elections. And here's what's scary. The number of Americans who deny evolution is actually growing. More often than not, based on a misguided belief that they have to choose between the Bible and godless science. So, we're left with a recent Gallup poll that indicates nearly 50% of Americans believe that God poofed us into existence. They deny the theory of evolution as a deluded plot to seduce people away from a belief in God. After all, God created fossils that only seem to be 150 million years old. They're really only 6,000 years old, and God is testing us to see if we believe God can actually do that kind of parlor trick or not. So that's why we're marking today, along with nearly 500 other faith communities around the globe, as Evolution Sunday, and reminding you that the teaching of evolution is officially endorsed by the United Methodist Church, and United Methodists officially oppose the teaching of creationism in public schools. What? Why? Because we've got a problem in this country. We're living in what is more and more being referred to as a post-truth society. Facts don't matter anymore. Scientific evidence is dismissed as just some egghead's opinion. Tell a lie enough times, and people start to believe it's the truth. And religion is being exploited to further a way of thinking that misrepresents reality. Many Christians are raised, along with Alice in Wonderland evidently, to believe 6 impossible things before breakfast. People are conditioned to believe that God will love them more somehow if they believe that God created the world in 6 24-hour days, or that there was an actual ark, or that Mary was a literal virgin. And now we have the Oklahoma legislature stepping in to back them up with Students' Religious Beliefs Protection Act, SB 1470, which would allow parents to sue teachers for $10,000 and be banned from teaching if they teach anything that upsets their religious students' tender sensibilities. Anything that is perceived to have anti-religious content, especially sciencey stuff like evolution or the Big Bang, are particularly suspect. Let me be clear. Call it what you will, creationism, intelligent design, or young eartherism, they're all cockamamie ideas, furthered by people who have an extremely narrow view of the Bible and are dangerously out of touch with reality. As someone who has devoted their life to studying the Bible, I am embarrassed for these Christians who use the Bible to oppose scientific discovery and progress. On previous Evolution Sundays, we've talked about how we as human beings share 98% of our gene sequence with chimpanzees. We share 50% with bananas. We've learned how both of Genesis's creation stories are great stories, written in very particular times for very particular purposes, neither of which has anything to do with history or science. And we've learned how futile it is to try to make Genesis prove something that it was never meant to prove. An obsession our Christian fundamentalist friends refuse to acknowledge. The one thing I want you to go away with today is a sense of how, when it comes to creation, we need to disengage ourselves from the idea that Genesis is more than a beautiful story and recalibrate our worldview. What I'm talking about has been called big history, and it helps us place ourselves in the context of reality and shift our awareness away from the self-centered idea that it's all about us, and to see ourselves as a tiny part of a much bigger, grander, and awe-filled story. Now you might be asking yourself, what crazy idea has Felten come up with this time? First off, I didn't come up with it. And secondly, I'm just continuing what has been happening for thousands of years. Religion has to adjust its worldview to account for reality. Otherwise, it dies. Otherwise, we become totally irrelevant, as we have to most of your children and grandchildren. Let me give you an example. Back in the 17th century, about 400 years ago, a man named Galileo got in a lot of trouble for bringing up the findings of this guy named Copernicus, who suggested, what? That the earth revolves around the sun? No way! Everybody knows that the sun revolves around the earth. Well, guess what? Copernicus was right, and the Bible was, well, wrong. So it's time for Christians to stop trying to make the evidence revolve around Genesis and put scientific evidence in the middle so that Genesis can be embraced for what it is, a beautiful story, a metaphor that has served its purpose for a time but now needs to be seen in a different context. When thinking about the importance of this big history, I'm reminded of the teachings of Jesuit paleontologist Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who said, "The movement into time is the most significant event in 2 million years of hominid intelligence." The movement into time. We've taken time for granted. We essentially have been functioning with a 6,000-year timeline of human history in our minds and thinking, ooh, baby, that's a long time. When what we need to do is adjust our concept of our place in a cosmic sense. To help make it easier to get our heads and our hearts around this idea of big history, the Reverend Michael Dowd has conveniently compressed the 13.8 billion year history of the universe, rounded off to 14 billion years, into 100 years. At this time scale, every decade is 1.4 billion years. Each year is 140 million years. Each week, 2.8 million years. Each day, 400,000 years. Each hour is roughly 17,000 years. Each minute, 250 years. And every second on the cosmic century timeline is just under 5 years. So at that time scale, all the hydrogen was formed on day 2. Early galaxies arose in the first 20 or 30 years. Bigger galaxies like ours, the Milky Way, have been gobbling up other galaxies over time. Supernovas and red giants created the periodic table of elements, all the atoms that we're made up of, and everything else is made up of. And this, of course, is an ongoing process. Our solar system forms at year 67. Earth cools below the boiling point of water at 69. and then it rains for eons and the oceans were formed. Earth comes alive with bacteria at year 71. At 72, some of these bacteria learn to feed on the photons of the sun. They learn to eat sunlight. That's called photosynthesis. And then begins this incredibly long process of biological evolution. Where is human history? On a 100-year timeline, the entirety of human history is the last week. Just the last 7 days. More humbling is that humans didn't domesticate fire until December 29th of the 99th year. We've only been speaking in words since December 31st of the 99th year. Homo sapiens, wise humans, have been here for just the last day of a 100-year process. At 11:20 p.m. on December 31st of the 99th year, that was 10,000 years ago, is when we start seeing human-centered agriculture. At 11:30 p.m., 7,500 years ago, we start seeing chiefdoms and kingdoms. 11:40 p.m., that's 5,000 years ago, we start seeing city-states and writing. 240 years ago, when the United States was created, is 11:59 p.m. on the cosmic timeline, 1 minute before midnight. As Michael Dowd says, "Now, I don't know about you, but if the entire history of the universe is scaled to 100 years, and we show up in the last week, the last 7 days on a cosmic century timeline, and the United States only showed up in the last minute, to my mind it indicates at least the possibility that the whole thing wasn't meant for us. You've got to grant that as a possibility. And if you do need to continue to embrace the idea that it's all been about us and we're the pinnacle of all of creation, then I have a name for you. Idolater. And God doesn't like idolaters. On the other hand, if we can shift our perspective, like the church had to do after Copernicus and Galileo, we can begin to see ourselves in a new way, as having emerged out of the body of life. We can see ourselves as just a small part of something much bigger, and start to readjust our relationship with creation from being something to be used up for our benefit into being something that we are an integral part of. What we know today could not have been fully known by any religious prophet or sage of a bygone era. Not Moses, not Jesus, not Muhammad, not the Buddha, not Lao Tzu. 20 years ago, Carl Sagan both chided and encouraged us in this way. How is it that hardly any major religion has looked at science and concluded, this is better than we thought? The universe is much bigger than our prophets said, grander, more subtle, more elegant. God must be even greater than we dreamed. A religion, old or new, that stressed the magnificence of the universe as revealed by modern science might be able to draw forth reserves of reverence and awe hardly tapped by the conventional faiths. Sooner or later, such a religion will emerge. That's why we need to embrace evolution and big history, the 13.8 billion year science-based tale of cosmic genesis, from the formation of galaxies and the origin of life to the development of consciousness and culture, and onward to the emergence of ever-widening circles of care and concern. Through big history, we learn that we are made of stardust and that we're related to everything. If you think about it, you can imagine that our species is just the way that the universe is awakening itself. In the 4th century, Augustine reinterpreted Christianity in light of Plato. In the 13th century, Aquinas integrated Aristotle. Today, there are countless theologians re-envisioning what being a person of faith means by integrating Darwin, Einstein, Hubble, Alvarez, Chardin, and so many more. And the only possible response is, move over, Genesis. You've been a fine story while it lasted. But there's a new creation myth in town. It's 14 billion years old, and it's full of drama and wonders that are hard to take in. Science is handing us an origin story, and we've barely begun to understand its mythic dimensions. Once upon a time, a little girl asked her pastor, "Where do we come from?" And her pastor answered, "We come from the stars, and the stuff you're made up of is nearly 14 billion years old, forged over time into a unique, never-to-be-repeated expression of a universe that is now conscious of itself." Isn't that a good story? As Brian Schwimm has said, the earth was once molten rock, and now it sings opera. Let me close with a warning. It's not just the Oklahoma legislature that is a threat to civilization. Give the Arizona legislature a few weeks, and I'm sure they'll introduce similar legislation. But this slide into post-truthism is loosening people's grip on reality, along with the QAnon conspiracy and belief that the moon landing was faked. The belief that the earth is flat is enjoying a huge resurgence. A 2018 poll of millennials, that's people who are currently 26 to 41 years old, revealed that only 66% of them believe that the earth is a globe spinning in space. That means fully 1/3 are not sure. They're skeptical, or they lean flat earth. 1/3. And why do I care? Because if we can't agree on reality, what can we agree on? Plus, I feel some guilt by association because the cosmology of the Bible is that of a flat earth. So, as people of faith who take the Bible seriously but not literally, we need to have the confidence to say that the Bible is wrong on this one. Don't let people use the Bible to further wacky ideas like a flat earth or a 6-day creation or a literal flood. Jesus taught his followers to love God with all their heart, soul, strength, and mind, even when using our minds means having to change our worldview to keep up with reality. Let me leave you with a spiritual practice that embraces reality and, at the same time, produces a sense of awe that, for me, is akin to a religious experience. Find some place where you can literally watch the sun rise. And as we know, the sun rising is actually an optical illusion. The sun isn't moving at all, even though our psalmist wrote that the sun, like a strong man, runs its course with joy. As the sun rises, try to adjust your perception of the phenomena to where the sun is stationary and you are hurtling toward it at 1,040 miles per hour. Lean into it. Can you feel yourself moving? May we go from this time together filled with awe over the incredible gift of our humble place in an amazing, wondrous, evolving cosmos. Be well.
Stars and planets flung in all
Let's join together in these words of blessing as we go. This we know, the earth does not belong to us.
We belong to the earth.
This we know, all things are connected.
Like the blood that unites all of us, one family.
This we know, we did not weave the web of life.
We are merely a strand in it.
This we know, whatever we do to the web,
We do to ourselves.
let us give thanks for the gift of creation.
And the Spirit of Christ guiding us on the way.